What's going on? Had to come back with something special on 5-9. You know it, you love it. Soul Striker, but Reborn. This is something that's been in the community since its inception, and I felt it right to do something pretty legendary with it. This is something I've been toying with back and forth. You see some of its previous iterations on the channel. This came in and out of a lot of trial and error, and this is the list that I came up with to be one of the best and consistent for what I'm trying to do and what most Soul Striker players trying to do, and that is pump out a lot of value for minimal resources. And I would say blue is one of the best colors to do that because it's one of the most forgiving colors due to the fact its major or its best attribute, let me say it like that, is freestanding energy on your turn and your opponent's turn. I would say my list in particular maximizes the effectiveness of Senzu Bean. And this is going through some changes. As you can see, the after errata and the before. I say it's still a 4 of, in my opinion, because of how strong it is. We just gotta alter the way we play it, but that doesn't make it less powerful. It just changes how we use it, or when, to be more correct. But without further ado, let me just explain a few things and the direction I'm going so you see where I'm going. Definitely on how I took this build. It was kind of like big bodies at first. As you can see, all my big bodies. But then I kind of curved that back to give it like a mid-range feel, because there's times where you get floodgated in a way where you have to swing with your low bodies in order to generate damage. So we kind of incorporated enough of that. And for this, I chose a 3-1 split with Zeno. I know in some major lists you might see the reverse, but for this, there's enough draw power where I don't really need to rely on the Vegeta as much. The Zeno is really important, as well as this SS3 Vegeta, because I wanted to epitomize what blue does best, and that's mitigate its biggest resources, which is the energy area. And with these two cards, the energy area becomes my second hand, because with Zeno picking stuff back up, including super combos, and Vegeta picking stuff up, everything but my super combos, I can have a nice free or thought free charging any one of my cards and be able to pick them back up at a pivotal moment. Followed by the second premise that I wanted to build upon, which was being able to interact during the battle step, which my Goku Black definitely helps out in that respect, as well as my Chi, which helps generate Z energy and draw power, and as well as my Majin Buu, that also doubles for defense. I wanted to build like a Soul Striker list that's really strong offensively and defensively for those decks that try to go wide, and I can just kill them on the crackback after I defend it with them. A lot of defense in here, like the beers and the UI, but most importantly, D Magic, which as part of my extra card package, I rely on as a last resort, because most times I shouldn't need it by how it's mechanically designed. And also peel off for 2 card setups to get rid of cards. But I know a lot of people will have trouble if they don't see they D Magic against certain decks that wombo combo you out the game. That's why you're running another key centerpiece, which is this Android 18. I thought this was pretty strong for blue. I don't want to say the negative B words in Banny, but this helps you get to your most pivotal cards when you need it and use them in the most effective way on your turns. But getting on to down the list, my Z deck, not too many battle cards, and got the Z leader. Always got to utilize the Z leader whenever you can. But this is for like those grindy matchups. This can like sneak out a win, because not a lot of lists that I've seen rock it or think it will go that long. Got the standard Vegeta and Cell. Not running Beerus, but I want to focus this on like a unison base, because that's kind of like what my leader specialized in, or the Reborn version. That's why I run Deborah and this 18. This is like my first one to go into, followed by the Deborah, depending on what my opponent is doing and how they're pressuring me. But if not, and I draw into it, I usually like just to have them have to deal with one of the strongest blue unisons that's limited to 1 for a good reason. But for the most part, if I draw into this or see this early, I'll probably start off with this though, because this helps maintain my hand size as well as maintain how they swing and build up their board, because this is also removal and also can stand up my energy for defense, which kind of goes with the theme of blue. Switching your energy, picking it back up, putting it back in your energy, just in a perfect circle. Next, going on to the side deck. It's pretty base for the format, or for all formats. I try to build my decks to be able to function in any terrain, whether we have an aggro format, mid-range, control. I always build it to be able to pivot towards anything. So that's how I design my side deck. We got this. I'm not really seeing a lot of indestructible decks right now, but always like to stay have that just in case I need it, and better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, as the general philosophy goes. Same thing when I got this near from you. I was dead set on making my deck 50 cards because I love my 50 cards lists, but I would say my maximum increased to 53 just because mill is still something that should be respected. Also, as well as other decks that function around unisons. I know there's a popular 2-drop unison that we gotta respect that a lot of the red decks are playing. Next, God Slicing. I want to have this in here just to hit bigger stuff that my main deck Absolute Release Ball couldn't hit. And I'm always an advocate of having 4 to 6 counterplays between the main deck and the side. This Desperate Measures not only is it the counterplay that stops their generally we use this for their battle card floodgates, but also it can recycle some of our cards that we want to reuse again, like all our 3 or less, which is another benefit, like recycling my other +1 engine, which is the universe of 7, the brains of the deck, as they say, and cards like my Peel-Off, Shu and Mai, just to rip more skills, and even my 18s just to play it again and dig for more extra cards. There's a lot of synergies in this Technicolors that you can like set up with Desperate Measures. I'm not running Pro Prospect, even though I really like that card, especially for how this deck is set up, but I felt this was the better option, and also I didn't want to have too many cards that made my opponent bottom deck for the sole reason I gotta keep in mind tournament wise. If you're playing in tournaments, you're on a 35-minute clock, and like the worst case scenario that might not be as rare as you think, where it comes down to when time and overtime is over, it goes life, then cards in your battle area, and after that, I could have swore it was different before, but it's like this now from what I'm reading at the time of this recording. Cards in deck, and that's where blue shoots itself in the foot, because most of our removal is tied to bottom decking cards. That's also why I'm not running the Android 17 Floodgate, because like it would be hard to kill me, but still will put me down to like 3 or 2 at the end of the day at best. And like on the same instance that I can like retaliate and stabilize and keep at a certain point, because at the end of the day, the way you have to beat blue is just like to go wide and just battle through the resources, and this kind of helped mitigate it, that offensive tactic, without losing too many cards. And Bean is good, but using multiple beans when you normally shouldn't have to for decks that's going wide too soon, you lose a lot of mid to late game power, and just spreading out the use of the sensu beans, which is like one of blue's calling cards, and I still say one of the best cards in the game. Then lastly, we got our Mechanical Courage, just punish people for playing on our turn, and also helps us filter through our deck and put cards that we don't want to see back in our deck and draw into new cards. And if you know the format, this is like one of the best cards to keep in your side deck, or even main if you want to, because this kind of buys you a turn, or it can even be used offensively. If you know their battle card Floodgate, you can just call it out and they can't play it. Another thing with that is like it's a 2-drop, and I wanted to incorporate a lot of 2 energy plays that I can just play right away. So when I swing with my leader, it's easier to stand up 2 energy, because like in testing, if I didn't see like my Brolys, my Vegetas, my Oob, which is very contingent on them having a certain amount of energy before he's low enough to play, because like most players will play around Oob, and you gotta figure out other ways to use at least 2 or 3 energy before I swing, so I can get the full value off my leader. So I constructed the deck in that way, just to make that easier and solve that little pitfall I was having in the beginning. So when you're going into issues, go back and touch up the list. But that's my word of advice on it. But this is something that I want to bring to y'all for this special Goku Day. Hope y'all enjoyed, and we'll leave y'all off at that and just get one last view of the deck. It'll be on Deck Planet by the time it's released, and I'll catch you later. This was my updated Soul Striker list, or my Striker Rebirth. But definitely gotta power up with the new Broly and this new Vegeta, which I generally use as a closer. Definitely 2 cards I'm adding to my other list, which was like the Dual Striker. But gotta check out that video for next time. That is still on Deck Planet as well, so be sure to check that out as well. Catch you later. Like, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And hope y'all enjoy and learn something about Soul Striker, or one of the most powerful Gokus in the game. Surprised didn't go with Golden Frieza. Man, it skated.